Before there were kings or cities, before the gods stopped walking among men, there was Eshu, the one who sees all, says little, and laughs loudest. He is the one who carries messages between heaven and earth, the one who tests your truth, the one you must greet first, or risk everything falling apart. But Eshu wasn't always a god. This is the story of how he became the most feared, most misunderstood, and most important of all the Orishas. Long before he became the messenger of the gods, Eshu was born to a quiet village at the edge of the forest. His mother, Iyalode Abike, was a basket weaver known for her gentle ways. She had prayed for a child, and when Eshu came, he was no ordinary baby. He spoke before his first moon cycle, he walked by the time other babies still crawled, and he asked questions. So many questions that the elders called him the child of too many words. But Eshu was curious, not troublesome. He watched the wind, counted the stars, and followed ants just to learn where they went. One day, when the village market disappeared after a terrible storm, it was little Eshu who found the missing traders by following goat tracks and shifting winds. Still, people whispered, "That boy is too strange," they said. "He laughs when he should cry. He knows things children should not know." Eshu heard them, and he smiled. As Eshu grew older, his power grew too. One day, he stood in the center of the village, holding his two colored hats. With one swift step, he walked the path between two farmers, one on the left, one on the right. Later that evening, the farmers began to argue. "He wore a red hat," said one. "No," said the other, "it was black." Their quarrel grew. Friends took sides. The chief was called. Eshu returned, laughing. "I wore both," he said. "You only saw what you wanted to see." The village was silent. Then the chief, a wise old man named Baba Olu, spoke. "Why would you trick them like that, boy?" Eshu replied, "If a simple heart can divide brothers, what will happen when the gods test them?" The chief nodded slowly. "You are no ordinary child. You are the spirit of the crossroads." Eshu's fame grew. He walked from village to village, sometimes solving problems, sometimes starting them, but always leaving lessons behind. One day, deep in the forest, he met Orunmila, who was drawing sacred symbols in the sand. Orunmila looked up. "You've come far, Trickster." "I follow paths," Eshu said, "and yours seemed interesting." "You are too clever for your age, and you are too old to enjoy mischief." Orunmila chuckled. "You see too much. You cross too many lines. Perhaps you are not meant for just this world." And so Orunmila took Eshu to Orun, the sky realm, to meet the other Orishas. There, under the great sky drum, they gave him 3 sacred roles: messenger between worlds, guardian of the crossroads, teacher through chaos. Eshu accepted each with a grin. "But I will do it in my own way," he said. And the gods agreed. Years passed, mortals built towns, kings rose, the Orishas watched from above, but their messages no longer reached the people. One day, a town forgot to offer sacrifice to Ogun, god of iron. Their tools broke, their farms failed. "Did you not hear us?" Ogun roared. The people trembled. "We heard nothing." The Orishas looked to Eshu. "You were meant to carry our words," said Obatala. "I did," Eshu replied, "but they were not listening." He strolled into the town market. He flipped a palm kernel into the fire. The flames rose, and with them confusion. Goats ran wild, traders screamed. No one was hurt, but everything changed. And when the dust settled, people began to ask, why did this happen? They visited the Babalawos, they consulted the Ifa, they listened again. Only after the fire did they remember the gods. Sometimes, Eshu said, a whisper isn't enough. Sometimes the fire must speak. Eshu never settled. He wore no crown, built no palace. Instead, he walked, always between villages, between choices, between lies and truth. But before he left the earth fully to walk among the Orishas, he gave humans a gift, the crossroad shrine. Build it with 3 stones, he said. One for the past, one for the present, and one for the path ahead. If you stand at the center, I will hear you. People began to leave offerings, palm oil, roasted yam, kola nuts, hoping to gain Eshu's favor. Some feared him, some misunderstood him. But the wise knew this. Eshu is not just a trickster. He is a reminder that every choice has 2 sides, that truth is not always loud, that the gods, like life, do not always speak in straight lines. Did you know the very first humans were shaped by a god who was drunk? Yes. The Yoruba say Obatala, the gentle father of mankind, once drank palm wine before molding clay into human form. And because of that single mistake, the world gained people of every kind, the strong, the weak, the blind, the lame. And instead of abandoning them, Obatala became their protector forever. Listen carefully because this story does not waste time. The world was water. Only the endless ocean stretched without end, and above it sat Olodumare, the supreme god, watching from the heavens. Nothing yet existed. No land, no humans, no animals. Only water, sky, and silence. And then Olodumare called Obatala. Go, the voice commanded. Shape the earth. That was the beginning of everything. Obatala, clothed in white, calm as a morning breeze, received the sacred task. Olodumare handed him the tools of creation. A snail shell filled with sand, a white hen, a palm nut, and a chain, long and strong, to descend from the sky. The instruction was simple. Go down, pour the sand on the waters, let the hen scatter it, and let dry land appear. So Obatala tied the chain to heaven and climbed down. The seas hissed and swayed beneath him as he lowered himself into the void. When he reached the middle, he poured the sand, dropped the hen, and watched as its claws crashed, scattering sand far and wide. Slowly, patches of dry ground began to form. That land became Ile-Ife, the sacred center, the first place of earth. But this story is not as simple as it sounds, for even gods can stumble. Creation was heavy work. Obatala was a god, yes, but he was also curious, drawn to the world he was shaping. In his hands, he held the palm nut Olodumare had given him. He pressed it onto the earth, and from it grew the first palm tree, tall and swaying, rich with fruits. The fruit's sweet sap dripped into a calabash. Obatala lifted it to his lips. One taste turned into two, two into three, until his calm white robe swayed clumsily and his eyes burned with drunken fire. Palm wine had entered him, and palm wine would change everything. While Obatala swayed, his brother Oduduwa appeared, strong, determined, hungry for power. He saw Obatala's chain hanging from the heavens, saw his brother lying drunk, and saw the sacred tools of creation scattered carelessly. Without hesitation, Oduduwa took them. He climbed down, poured more sand, and pressed his will upon the earth. He expanded Ile-Ife, stretched rivers, raised hills, carved valleys. Where Obatala stumbled, Oduduwa walked. By the time Obatala woke from his drunken haze, much of the earth was already claimed, and so conflict was born. When Obatala's head cleared, shame burned in him. He had been chosen first, he had been trusted, and yet he had fallen to palm wine. Why should Oduduwa hold the glory of creation? Obatala muttered. His chest was heavy, his robe no longer felt pure. But Olodumare had already decided. Earth was created. The task was complete. What remained was different. Obatala shaped humankind. The land is Oduduwa's. The people shall be yours. And so, humbled, Obatala accepted. Obatala gathered clay from Ile-Ife, cool and smooth, and began to mold. Carefully, he shaped legs, arms, eyes, mouth. He pressed details into ears and noses. He breathed life into figures, and they stirred, walking, talking, become the first humans. But Obatala was still not free from palm wine. At times, he sculpted while drunk, his fingers clumsy, his shapes uneven. Some figures came out bent, some short, some missing parts, some unable to walk, some blind, some deaf. When life entered them, they lived as they were formed. That is how the first disabled humans came into the world. When Obatala looked upon his work, his heart cracked. He saw the broken forms, the twisted limbs, the faces marked by imperfection. They struggled, yet they breathed. They suffered, yet they lived. And he wept. He swore before Olodumare, "Never again will palm wine touch my lips. These ones I have shaped in error, they are mine forever. I will protect them. I will walk with them. I will be their father." From that day, Obatala became the guardian of the disabled, the merciful sculptor who claimed every life, no matter how different, as sacred. Obatala's vow spread through Ile-Ife. The people learned that mistakes cannot be erased, but they can be transformed. Responsibility lies not in perfection, but in how one carries their errors. The disabled were honored, for they were taught directly by Obatala's hand. Priests in white robes served them. Songs were sung of mercy, of purity, of patience. But the rivalry with Oduduwa never truly died. As generations passed, the children of Obatala and the children of Oduduwa quarreled. Who held greater power? The one who made the land, or the one who shaped humankind? At Ile-Ife, shrines were raised to both. Sacrifices were made to both. But whispers grew. Oduduwa's followers demanded supremacy, and Obatala's worshippers refused. Clashes broke out. Families divided. Warriors drew swords. The land shook with thunder, not from the sky, but from men. And in the middle of it, the white-robed god himself descended to restore peace. Obatala stood before the armies, his staff shining white, his face calm, his voice carried like wind. Did I not stumble? Did I not err? Yet Olodumare forgave me and gave me duty. Why then do you seek to destroy each other over pride? The soldiers lowered their weapons. The silence of shame fell. Obatala raised his staff again. The earth belongs to Oduduwa. Humanity belongs to me. Both must live together. Both must honor Olodumare. Peace returned, though the rivalry lingered like smoke. Obatala settled among his people. He taught them discipline, calmness, patience. He forbade violence within his shrines. His worshippers wore only white as a sign of purity. They avoided palm wine in his presence, remembering his vow. When a child was born blind, they carried the child to Obatala's temple, knowing he would protect. When a man limped or a woman could not speak, they were not cast out, for Obatala had shaped them, and Obatala claimed them. Thus, Obatala became not just creator, but father, not just sculptor, but guardian. What followed were countless stories of Obatala settling disputes, of Obatala saving children, of Obatala wrestling with his temper, but always returning to mercy. Stories of his priests carrying white chalk, symbols of calm, stories of how even the mightiest kings bow to his purity. The tale stretches across generations, reminding the Yoruba people, power without discipline leads to shame. Mistakes once made can be redeemed with responsibility, and those born different are not curses, but children of Obatala himself. Obatala's story is not about perfection. It is about humility. It is about patience. It is about learning to protect what you once failed. And that is why to this day, Obatala is called Orishanla, the great white god, creator, protector, and father of all. Long ago, within the shores of the Niger Delta, the Ijaw people lived in a time of chaos. The tribes warred against themselves, brother against brother, village against village. The gods had turned their faces away. But in the darkest hour, a new power would rise, one that would unite the Ijaw forever. In the village of Ayakoromo, a young warrior named Oboro stood accused. His own brother, the warlord Kaladokubo, had betrayed him, stealing his bride and burning his homestead. The elders did nothing, for Kaladokubo ruled with fear. Oboro fled into the sacred swamps where the spirits whispered. There he found an ancient shrine, a place forgotten by men but remembered by the gods. A voice echoed from the depths. "Why do you come, son of the waters?" Oboro fell to his knees. "I seek justice." The voice deepened. "Justice demands sacrifice." And suddenly, a leopard emerged from the shadows, its eyes like molten gold. It circled Oboro, then spoke again, but this time from within his own mind. "I am the spirit of the first warrior, the one who fought when the world was young. If you swear to defend the innocent, I will give you my strength." Oboro did not hesitate. "I swear it." The leopard lunged, not to kill but to merge. Oboro screamed as his fire filled his veins. His skin rippled with strange markings, his muscles curled like serpents. And when he rose, he was no longer just a man. He was Egbesu. Kaladokubo laughed when he heard his brother had returned. "Let him come," he sneered. "I will feed his heart to my dogs." But when Oboro stepped into the village square, the air itself trembled, his eyes glowed, his voice carried the weight of storms. "Kaladokubo, you have broken the laws of the earth and sky. The gods have judged you." Kaladokubo attacked, but his spear chattered against Oboro's skin. The villagers watched in awe as their tyrant was lifted by an unseen force, his body twisting as if crushed by giant hands. With a final roar, Oboro cast him into the river, where the crocodiles waited. The people fell to their knees. That night, the ancestors appeared to Oboro in a dream. They spoke as one. "You have become the vessel of justice. Where there is cruelty, you will strike. Where there is treachery, you will punish. This is the way of Egbesu." From that day, Oboro wandered the Delta, righting wrongs. His name faded into legend, but his spirit remained. Warriors invoked him before battle, priests channeled his rage against invaders, and the oppressed whispered his name in prayer. Centuries later, as oil companies invaded the Delta, poisoning the waters and silencing the spirits, the people grew desperate. The Ijaw called upon Egbesu once more, and the god answered. For though the world changes, justice does not. One night, a group of reckless men, paid by foreign interests, dug into the sacred grove where Egbesu's shrine stood. They laughed as they chattered the ancient totems, believing the old gods held no power. They were wrong. As the last stone fell, the earth trembled, the wind howled like a dying beast, and the river turned black. The man fled, but one, their leader, Tamuno, felt something cold grip his heart. A voice, deep as the ocean, whispered in his ear, "You have awakened me." Tamuno returned to his camp, shaking. That night, he dreamed of a warrior clad in leopard skins, eyes burning like coals. Egbesu stood before him, a spear in hand. "You have spilled sacred blood. Now you will spill your own." When Tamuno awoke, his chest bore a strange mark, a curled serpent, the symbol of divine judgment. His men noticed his fear, but dismissed it as superstition. Days later, the first death came. One of the oil workers, a man who had mocked the shrine, was found floating in the river. His body twisted as if crushed by an invisible force. The villagers whispered, Egbesu has returned. In the heart of the village, the old priestess Alagba stirred from her trance. She had seen the storm coming. The God walks among us, she warned the elders. He will not stop until justice is served. The village split. Some wanted to flee, others to beg for mercy. But Tamuno, now half mad with fear, refused to believe. These are just stories, he rawled. No spirit can touch me. That night, the second death came. A storm unlike any other descended upon the camp. Lightning struck the oil rig, setting them ablaze. Men screamed as shadows moved in the rain. Figures with glowing eyes, warriors of Egbesu. Tamuno ran, but the river rose to meet him. The water formed hands, dragging him under. As he drowned, he heard the gods' final words. The land remembers, the gods do not forget. By dawn, the invaders were done. They were gone. Some were dead, others were driven mad. The village stood in silence, the air thick with a scent of burnt metal and salt water. Alagba knelt by the ruined shrine, placing fresh offerings. Forgive us, great Egbesu. We have failed as guardians. A warm breeze brushed her face, and for a moment, she felt peace. The god had taken his vengeance, but he was not cruel. The land would heal. The people would remember. And the spirit of Egbesu would sleep once more.